Hey guys, notice anything different? I was busy yesterday. I have always wanted to have some of my makeup on shelves like that, but I could never figure out a way to arrange the room so that I could do that because actually this was in the living room. I stole this from the living room. I used to have all my DVDs on it, so I just found another place for the DVDs and put it in here because, yeah, I've always wanted to display my makeup. And then those plastic Sterlite drawers used to be on the other side of the room. Think I had them in my background at one point, but I had moved them over to the other side of the room. So anyways, I was changing everything around, and then my IKEA unit you're not going to be able to see because that's always usually when I'm sitting in the center of the screen, you can't see that. You won't be able to see either one of the makeup collection things. But anyways, yeah, I was busy yesterday, so I was rearranging the furniture and everything, and I looked down on the floor and I'm like, what is this? And I saw these weird chunky things on the floor. It was my nail polish. Remember I told you in yesterday's video that the manicure doesn't last long when you use that peely base coat? Boy, I wasn't kidding. It just literally, it was just falling off. So yeah, 24 hours is about the most you're going to get out of that. But anyways, that's not what today's video is about. Today's video is Netflix picks. And if you're a new subscriber and you're thinking, what the heck does Netflix have to do with makeup? Absolutely nothing. It has nothing to do with makeup. But I like to do these videos every once in a while because a lot of people are subscribed to Netflix, and sometimes you'll be trying to decide what to watch, and you'll look at the little trailers if they have them, and you read the description and you're like, I don't know, I'm not sure. And I like to give suggestions of things that I have watched that I really, really liked. And so if you're sort of on the fence about something, you might be thinking, oh, well, Mrs. The Doll said that that was really good, so maybe I should give it a chance. So yeah, that's all this is. This is my Netflix picks of things that I have watched, that I have loved. I haven't done one of these videos in ages. But so let's just get started. The first thing I'm going to talk about is The Magicians. I am currently watching season 4 of The Magicians, and it is based on novels by Lev Grossman. This is the Magicians trilogy. Have I read this? No, but I'm going to. I bought these books, I think, when I was watching season 1, maybe 2 of The Magicians, and I was like, I really want to read these books. But now I actually know somebody in real life that has read them, so now that would encourage me more to read them. So yeah, I definitely want to do that. But anyways, what is it about? It is about a secret university for magicians, for people who want to learn magic and become a magician and fine-tune their skills. And so it's a lot of the shows on Netflix now are about this and have the same premise, but this one is quite different. This is very convoluted. There's a backstory, there's a forward story. There are different realms other than Earth that these characters go to. I don't want to give too much away because it's a really great story, so I don't want to give too much away. But it starts off with Quentin and Julia, and they want to get into this school. And more characters are introduced, of course, as you go along. But it's the only downside that I can think of about this is it's kind of hard to follow. A lot of times you might be saying to yourself, what the hell is going on? But as time goes by, more and more is revealed and the pieces will start to come together. But because I was having a hard time figuring it all out, that's what made me want to read the books. I thought, okay, why don't I just read the books, and then it won't be so hard to figure out, because sometimes you don't want to make the effort to figure something out, you know, because you're watching TV to relax and be entertained and not necessarily to figure things out. But this is worth it. There are some standout actors on this show. And yeah, some of them are absolutely fantastic, and I think they've got long careers ahead of them. It's really good. Yeah, I don't think I want to tell you anything else about this, because it's so strange and so off the wall, but so worth your time. So that's all I'm going to say about that. I don't like to give any spoilers when I do these Netflix picks, because half the fun is the discovery, you know? Okay, so the next one is V-Wars. This is a new show starring Ian Somerhalder, and you may know him from Vampire Diaries. I have never seen Vampire Diaries, believe it or not, even though I like those types of shows. I've never seen it, but I know who he is because, yeah, I think that most people know who he is just because he's so damn good looking. But he's getting older. I mean, you can tell in this show, it's like, wow, what happened to him? He used to be better looking. He's older. It happens to all of us. But it's another vampire show. And boy, talk about getting typecast. But in Vampire Diaries, he plays a vampire. In this show, he plays a scientist. And I am going to tell you a little bit about the first episode just to kind of set this up. So he plays a scientist. He and his fellow partner scientist are up in the Arctic. No, I'm sorry. There is a scientific exploration going on with a lab, and people are up there, and something goes wrong. They don't hear from one of the scientists for a long time. They've lost communication. So they send these other two scientists, one of them is Ian Somerhalder's character. They send them up there to figure out what's going on. When they get there, they find chaos. They find samples laying around, and there's blood, and then, you know, they call somebody and tell them what happened, and they realize now they've been exposed to something, but they don't know what. And if this sounds familiar, it's because this is a familiar premise to a lot of movies that have been done in the past. But the difference is, this is the only episode where you're going to be up in the Arctic, okay? After the first episode, everything shifts, goes to another place, everything changes, the whole story turns around. So they basically had to do this with the first episode to kind of set up what was to come. So bear with the first episode, because it gets way better after that. That happens with a lot of shows. A lot of people will watch an episode on Netflix and say, seen this before, you know, it's been done a million times. No. Yes, the first episode storyline has been done a million times before, but it gets better. Stick with it. You'll be glad you did. But it is a vampire show. Just know that. Okay, next is Wu Assassins. And again, this is another new show. There's only one season of it on Netflix. This is very interesting. It is about a chef who is just living a very ordinary life and is contacted by a, let's see, how can I describe her? He's contacted by someone because he has been chosen to be a Wu assassin. And what that is it's someone who basically kind of almost like magic police, like they're keeping people who have a lot of magic under control, and they're killing the ones that are evil, basically. But this guy, you know, he doesn't at first even understand what's happening or why he's been chosen or anything, but it's deep, deep into like Asian culture. So if you've ever been interested in, um, I'm saying Asian because I think in the storyline, I think that they may be portraying them as Chinese, but in reality, it's a mixture of people, actors that play these parts. So um, it's more of a broad spectrum Asian culture thing. I mean, you can just tell by looking at the actors that their ethnic background is not all Chinese, but they're all Asian. But it's very, very interesting, and it's based kind of in this Chinese restaurant, and the characters that are involved have known each other their whole lives, so there's a bond between them, but they're not family, but they feel like a family. But it's very, very interesting, very good. There's a lot of martial arts fighting. The guy who's the lead actor is some kind of a master in the type of martial arts that he does. He's actually Indonesian, and it's the type of martial arts that he does is like a very specialized type of thing. But it's a very good show. I really enjoyed it. Okay, next is, oh, and by the way, that show takes place in San Francisco. And you can tell, but you can tell just by looking at it with all the steep hills and on the streets and stuff. But it's in like the Chinatown part of San Francisco that's based. Okay, next is Legacies. And again, this is a new show. There's only one season. And ironically, this is the sequel to the originals. The originals was the sequel to Vampire Diaries. So again, there is a link to Vampire Diaries, and but Ian Somerhalder isn't in this. But some of the characters go from show to show to show, and I didn't realize when I started watching this that it was the sequel to a sequel to a sequel, and I still enjoyed it anyway. But in this show, it is a private school for gifted teens who have supernatural abilities and slash magic, and or slash magic, I should say. And there are some of the students at the school are vampires, werewolves, witches. So again, there's that supernatural element running through it. I don't know if any of you ever saw Grimm, but in the show Grimm years ago, they would introduce you to a new supernatural being every week. So you were almost like getting an education on supernatural beings. They do that in this show Legacies. So it focuses on these students at this school, the main characters, and them learning magic, but it also brings supernatural beings into play. Okay, next is Mars, and I've watched 2 seasons of this on Netflix, and this, if you like hardcore science fiction, you will love this because it is a fictional account of the colonization of Mars. And once again, some of the actors in the show are so good. But they intersperse this with clips of real life space exploration and technology. And, you know, they talk to people in that field. They talk to people at NASA. They talk to Elon Musk about his SpaceX program. And so you're following the story in a fictional sense, and then they're like giving you little bits of real science. It's a very unique concept, and the fictional aspect of it is so well done, and I think it's very realistic in the sense that when this happens, because we are supposed to be colonizing Mars, there's things in place that are moving in that direction in reality. Um, things are going to go wrong. People may die, and it's the new frontier. Space exploration is the new Wild West in a sense. But it's so well done and so well acted and so well written that if you like science fiction, you're going to love this. It started off as a National Geographic show, and Netflix, you know, paid to be able to air it on their channel as well. Okay, next up is The Order. And this is a show about students at a university in a secret society. And it's kind of like a little bit borrowed from the idea of Skull and Bones at Yale University, where there's a secret society that only certain people are allowed to join, and there's wild things going on there, rituals, possibly magic. The elite privileged students are involved in it, and that's about as much as I think I want to say about this, because if I say anything else, it's going to give away too much. But yeah, it's very interesting and hopefully not based on too much fact. And the only other show I want to mention is one that I think I talked about in a previous Netflix picks, but it's so good, you guys, that if you didn't happen to see that episode, if you didn't happen to see that video that I did where I mentioned the show, The Umbrella Academy, oh my God, that's one of my all-time favorite shows that I've ever seen on Netflix. It's so interesting, and it's another one of those shows that's kind of hard to follow. I'm reading all the graphic novels. I just picked up the latest one the other day. But again, there are some actors on that show that are just standouts and absolutely fantastic. And yeah, you've got to see that. If you like any of the shows that I've already talked about, I tend to go for the same types of things, but just variations of it. So those are my Netflix picks. And I did want to mention that if the lighting looks really different today, it's because I am in the process of experimenting with my lighting in a big way. I think I mentioned this the other day. I'm combining natural and artificial lighting to try to create the perfect lighting. It's not easy, because when you do that, the natural part of the lighting is changing every day. Like some days it's dark outside and it's raining, or some days it's snowing and you've got a lot of white in the air that affects, you know, the white balance on your camera. And but I don't know. I'm just trying to figure it all out and work it all out and see what I like the best. But you're going to notice big differences from one day to the next, because I'm trying different things in each video. But I kind of like this lighting right here, because the background is all lit. You can see some of the items that are on my shelf. And so, yeah, we'll figure it out. So thank you so much for watching and subscribing, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.